Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Jeremiah from morerecbooking.com, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Barry Nakano from PacRim Marketing. Hey, Barry, how are you doing?
Hey Jeremiah, thanks for setting this up.
Sure, no problem. I couldn't think of anybody better to talk to on the subject of Asian marketing. For those of you who've never had the pleasure of meeting Barry, he is an expert in this field. He was born in Hawaii, so he grew up with Asian tourism all his life. He's worked for big brands such as Disney, Hyatt, Lowe's, and he's even spent 10 years in Japan doing sales and marketing. So he really understands this consumer segment. And can you tell us a little bit about the results that you've seen just over the past year?
Yeah, we work with a number of hotels who use our technology, our booking technology, as well as we develop some different marketing and strategies for them. And in 2016, we did about $15 million in direct consumer reservations.
Mhm.
We're on pace in 2017 to reach about 24 million, which is about a 60% increase. So everything is looking good.
Wow, that is amazing. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's presentation: how to attract Asian travelers. Um, and like I said, Barry's the perfect person to talk to on this subject. Now, to get things started, I'd like to ask a question, Barry. When you're first talking with hotels, how do you help them understand the Asian traveler's mindset? How do you start that conversation?
Well, that's a good question. If you don't mind, I'm going to turn on my screen. So just give me
Okay.
a moment, please.
Great, thank you. Yep, I can see that.
Okay, I think one thing that has really helped me to better understand what the travelers are looking for is to think in reverse. You know, uh, imagine yourself traveling overseas. What would you look for? What would help you to plan your travel? And those are the kind of things that I think would really help us as we develop these marketing strategies. As an example, imagine that you're going to Japan for the first time and you're very excited to go and you're researching information and then you have to look for a hotel and so you find five hotel websites that are very interesting you think would be a good fit for a place for you to stay at, but you realize four of the five websites are in Japanese and only one is in English. Which would you most likely look at and book a reservation at?
Well, after living in Japan for 8 years, I can tell you I'd definitely go for the English one. Uh, the Japanese language is difficult. Cancellation policies are different. You don't know if they're charging by person or by night. So I would either go for the English language website, or if I couldn't find that, I would definitely go to Expedia or some other OTA.
Right, and OTAs do have a lot of information available in multiple languages, and unfortunately, that's not where most hotels want the business to go to. So it's important to prepare information in to promote their hotel to the consumer to drive more business, direct business, and which is what we're talking about. And one of the things I hear is that, well, don't Japanese study English in school? And that's true. They study English as a second language, but I know I studied Spanish for 2 years in high school. But would I feel comfortable researching travel and booking a reservation in Spanish? Absolutely not. So that if you look at it from that point of view, it's important to have information available in the language of the traveler.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about language. It's good to have the information, but I think it goes deeper than that, doesn't it?
Yeah, because we're in travel, we're not just selling a widget where you have a size, shape, and a color. We're really trying to touch the traveler's emotions. We're really promoting experience and atmosphere and enjoyment, all the intangibles that are really hard for these for to get across if you're not someone who is native from those countries and really understand the culture. So it's important that whenever you do any kind of translation in to another language, that you have someone that's from those countries, number one, and number two, are professional, are very good at copywriting, because you don't want someone to just put words together in that language. You want them to really put it together so that it tells your story.
Great. And you've said that there are people who look at going through other options. They prefer to do it kind of a quick and easy way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we have different uh, options when it comes to doing translation. And one of the options that we often hear about is, or the questions we hear about is, well, what about the dynamic translation systems? And one of the prominent ones is Google Translate. How is Google Translate? Can't that do an adequate job? And here's an example of something that came up with a meeting with one of our clients. I was meeting with the executive team at Visit Anaheim, the CVB, and they asked the question, well, why don't we just develop websites and have Google translate all of our content into each language? So I thought, well, I could take English and translate it into another language, but would they understand if the translation quality was good or not? So what I did was I went to their top attraction and copied some content from their Japanese website, Disneyland's website, and inserted it into Google Translate, and this is what was outputted.
Was born in 1955, Disneyland Park, the world's first. Yeah, it's funny, right? It's all backwards and jumbled up.
And that's because Japanese, the language format is different from English. So if you just translate word to word, it's not going to come out in a format that makes sense, and definitely not going to look right. So that's something that's really important. That's why it's really critical that any work that's done for translation is done by a native born translator, and the copy is written by a professional copywriter.
Right, because if it doesn't, if you haven't put care and attention into this small detail, it kind of shows disrespect for somebody, and you're asking, $200-300 a night, but you're showing them a very amateur face of your business. That doesn't make very much sense, does it?
Yeah, that's a good point. When you think about it, if you're going to a foreign country and they had information available in English, but the English was done, very poorly, it was very amateurish, how would you feel? Would you feel comfortable that business really wants, is catering to the English market and really wants your business? Are they serious about, taking care of your needs?
Mm.
That's where it's critical to be able uh, to get that trust from the visitor.
Right. So trust and making a great first impression are all essential. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your service. What really impressed me was that it's not just technology; it's technology plus service.
Right. And
Can you talk about that a little bit?
if you don't mind, I'm going to turn off my screen for.
Okay.
Is my screen off?
Yep, I see you now.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that I think is you know really important, that it goes beyond just providing the information and providing the processes. You want to make sure that you provide services that make the guests feel comfortable, that they trust you. And here, one example is we work with a number of hotels in Hawaii, and two of our largest clients are actually owned by Japanese companies. One is Starwood Hawaii, and one is Prince Resorts Hawaii, which is owned by a large Japanese hotel company. They have their own ability to develop websites in different languages, and they have their own booking technology. But they asked us to develop the websites and they use our proprietary booking engine because it's important for them to offer the optimal user experience. And one of the things that we do that is different from other booking agents is that we don't just provide a way for visitors to check availability and rates and book a reservation. We also allow visitors to submit questions and special requests in their language. Then we have what we refer to as online concierge who translate that into English, forward it onto the hotel, and the hotels respond in English, and our concierge translated back into the language of the traveler so that they feel that they're really getting special service and they're able to address any questions and requests that they have. So it develops that trust, and that's why as I mentioned, Starwood and Prince Resorts, they use our booking engine. And if it wasn't producing results, they wouldn't go that route. So they're
Hmm.
happy with the way that things are turning out.
Well, that's great because Japanese people love to plan things out a long time in advance, and they love to ask questions to make sure they're really going to get a good experience, right?
Yes, and another example is we have developed a Japanese website for Roots Chris Steakhouse in Hawaii. They have 5 restaurants. We developed their Japanese website and a Japanese reservation system. And actually, my wife handles customer service in Japanese for Roots Chris Hawaii. So I see the actual reservations that are coming in on a daily basis and the kind of questions and requests that come in. And it's very obvious that Japanese like to convey information about their travel that may not have any relationship to the actual reservation, but they want the restaurant to know that it's either their first trip or it's to celebrate someone's birthday or it's a honeymoon or a post wedding party. So that's the kind of thing that they like to convey, and that would be very difficult if it was just a straight reservation system. So they convey that in their comments section. My wife translates that into English, sends it on to the restaurants, so they're aware of what the guest needs are, and that provides additional services that make the guest feel special.
Well, that's great. So you don't just help the businesses overcome the language barrier on the website, but also during the booking process. The much more important point when somebody has their credit card out in hand, right? Um, so that produces results. And can you show us some of the other clients that you work with so we can get a better feel of which companies are going after the Asian market these days?
Sure. Let me turn my.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. Here are some examples of some of the clients we work with, and as you can see, it's really a broad range of companies and organizations, from hotels to airlines, attractions, CVBs, destinations, and also retail as well. We've done work for a number of major hotels, SeaWorld San Diego, Anaheim, Tiffany, and Neiman Marcus. So it gives you an idea of the type of companies that are going after the Asian markets and are really committed to making sure that they get their message across.
Great. Do you have a couple examples?
Yeah, let me show you some examples of since we're talking about with hotels. Here's some examples of some microsites we've done for hotels. So it just shows that you don't have to spend a lot of money to develop uh, marketing tools to reach the Asian traveler, and these are some of the hotels we work with.
Great. And I won't talk about SEO because that's another animal. But I find that if you are talking about your hotel in another language, I can pretty much guarantee nobody else is talking about your hotel or your area in that language as well. So that's always kind of a nice advantage. And can you show us the booking process, how it's different
Sure,
than maybe a Western style booking engine?
sure. And that's really important. Uh, if you can imagine yourself at a going to a store, one of my pet peeves is to go to a store that spend a lot of money to advertise and to get the customer into their doors to select products to buy. And when you're ready to make a purchase, you go to the checkout line, and the line is either long or the clerks are, chit chatting, not paying attention to the guests, and so the
Right.
customers get frustrated. To me, that's a cardinal sin. You spend a lot of time and effort and resources to get the customer in your doors. When they're ready to buy, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to complete that purchase. It's the same thing with hotels. You promote your hotels, your in the destination. You get the visitor to decide, I want to go to that destination, stay at this hotel. They're ready to book a reservation. If the reservation process is not simple, intuitive, and easy to complete, you're setting up deterrents to completing that reservation. So what we really stress the importance of making sure that whatever reservation system you're using, whether it's a brand system or another third party system or your own in-house proprietary system, make sure that it's really optimized for the user. And here's an example of our proprietary system where, this is an example of a Japanese reservation system. The goal of this is to make sure that it's easy for the visitor to not only find the information looking for, but also complete the reservation process. And we accomplish that by having our developers who are actually all native born developers from each country who not only understand the language, but they understand the nuances and the differences in the culture, to make sure that the process is as intuitive and comfortable for the visitor.
Great. Yeah, because you want to, at the point where you're taking somebody's credit card, you want that to be the least friction possible, right? Um,
Exactly.
so you at the top, you told us you've been having some really good um, growth over the past year. Can you give us a feel for the benchmark uh, results that you've been achieving, so that people can understand the opportunities in the Asian travel markets?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Here's some numbers that I think might be of interest to hotels, especially. As I mentioned, we did about $15 million in direct consumer reservations for the hotels we work with in 2016. And some other numbers that I think would be of interest are the average booking window. International travelers, because they're coming from overseas, they tend to plan their travel well in advance. So the average booking window for the hotels we work with was actually 101 days, which is really important because it allows the hotels to sell their higher rates, their bar rates, well in advance, and then they can sell their unsold rooms. They can yield manage their unsold rooms and sell them through different channels as they get closer in. Another important number is the average daily rate. The average daily rate for all the hotels that we work with was actually $408 in 2016, which really is a good indicator of that market. That they're not a low budget market. Asians tend to want to stay in nicer hotels, and they're willing to pay the money because they want the best experience when they travel.
Wow. Yeah. So these are the guests you want. Japanese people are very polite, very easy to work with. They like planning things out a long ways in advance, and they're also going to visit during seasons that are more of a shoulder season, like for example the early part of May, um, for example, and then they're willing to spend to make sure that they're having a really guaranteed quality stay. All these are all really great things.
Yeah, that's you brought up some good points that the travel seasons are it could be different and could fulfill or help hotels fill rooms during need periods. as you mentioned, the beginning of May is Golden Week, and then they have middle of summer, which is, considered high travel season for Japanese. That could be very helpful to destinations where maybe the summer months are a slow period. Of course, they have the holiday season is a high travel season as well, and Chinese New Year's, which fluctuates between the end of January into February. Those could also be seasons that could help destinations and hotels too. So these markets could help fill rooms when hotels need the business.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm sure by now people want to get in touch with you and see how they can explore some ideas about attracting Asian tourism to their properties. How can they go ahead and do that?
Well, we're going to make information available for download about the Asian markets, and also some examples of some of our clients, the work we've done with our clients. We'll make it available through moredirectbookings.com/Barry. So hope the those that are listening in on this webinar will take the time to go there, download that information. And something that also came to mind is when we talk about travel periods is we also have a calendar that we develop for Asian holidays and travel periods that we'll also make available for download as well. So I hope some of the information we talked about is going to be useful and would prompt maybe some different ways of thinking and approaching, when the development of strategies going after these markets. And hopefully we've kind of removed some of the mystique and made it look more feasible or viable to go after these markets. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer questions, or just explore ideas if anyone is interested.
Well, excellent. I've also put the offer for the PDF on the side. People can just click on that and you'll go to the download page. And again, Barry, thank you so much for spending time talking with us. I can't think of anybody else who understands the Asian travel markets better than you. And the fact that you're here in the States and you're open to talk, I think that's just a great, a great reference for people to have. So thank you so much.
Well, my pleasure, and thank you all for listening in.
Great. Looking forward to talking with you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day, Barry. Bye now.